Hello, I'm Ed Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabyd Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, excuse me, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You've already read the thumbnail, you've already looked at the title. I want to talk about mental deconstruction. And it's a subject, I subscribe to a couple of pages of people that have left the faith. One of them is exclusively ministers, which is the Clergy Project, and their page with all the ministers. And then there's another one that's for basically people that are just laity that left the church and things like that I subscribe to. And I'm not going to go into the details of individual names or things like that because there's a lot of people that are kind of like ready to come out of the closet, so to speak, about the fact that they no longer believe. And in case of ministers, it's even more dangerous. But because I'm a part of those, I hear a lot of discussions about this, how mentally you have to rethink through things. The issue for me is always to make sure I'm not just moving from one echo chamber to another. Okay, because when you're in Christianity, or you're in any religion for that matter, and all you do is hang out with other people of that faith, and all you do is listening to their radio and their TV, and all you're doing is reading their literature, and all you're doing is this stuff and this stuff, you're in an echo chamber. You're not getting any other information except for what is approved. And sometimes what I see is people deconvert, or they deconstruct, and they start their deconstruction process, and they end up going from one echo chamber to another, that they only read, like, when I became an atheist, I was made sure that I didn't just read atheists on rationality. I didn't just read, atheists on the issues, okay? Because that just changes one echo chamber for another. If you're going to get out of an echo chamber where you're just hearing what your side is always saying and not listening to anybody else, that's a good way to just really switch one cult to another. I see a lot of atheists do this, in my opinion, okay, where they get out and they switch. They used to be a fundamentalist, conservative, Republican, Christian, and they get out and they completely flip to the other side. And I'm going to tell you, the other side is just as cultic and just as religious about their quote-unquote PC and wokeness. Because when you can't speak against something without them trying to shout you down or yell you down or anything, that is the same thing that Christian fundamentalists do when somebody in the church has a question or decides, hey, I really feel that's wrong. And if it's not the standard line, I saw it all the time when somebody would disagree with the denominational statement and say, I just don't agree with it. Well, then you need to find the church down the road. You need to change echo chambers. And they believe that sort of thing. And I think what people don't realize is that politicians and political movements do the same shit, do the same kind of psychological manipulation that religions do. I've been in one, I have a degree in another, and when I looked at social psychology when I was at school, I began to realize that the methods that different political leaders like Hitler and like Mao and like different people that have been totalitarian pieces of shit have used is the same kind of techniques that are used in the church to keep people in line. The fear of punishment, we're only allowed to listen to this, we're only allowed to watch this, we're only allowed to read this. This person's opinion, stay away from it. Okay, they're wrong. I heard it over and over with Christians. You don't want to read those books. You don't want to read them Harry Potter books because that could lead you down a path. And it's like, no. No. That's no different to me than, a political leader saying, hey, we need to get rid of Dr. Seuss because he's got this in it, and we need to cut him. I think that's a load of shit. Okay, because it's just as cultic to me. Okay, you're not allowing, and I'm sorry, I think it backlashes too. I remember when I was growing up, there was a movie that came out called The Last Temptation of Christ. And the church came so hard against this, particularly the Roman Catholic Church came out so hard against this thing. And a lot of people said, after they saw the movie, that it was a shit movie. But the only reason they had saw it because the church was pissed off about it, and so they went and wanted to see what they were pissed off about. And I think that's kind of the way it works with a lot of things. People just are curious as to why everybody's mad, and then they go and see it, and they go, it's kind of a letdown. Well, I'm not really sure that we should really be all that mad about stuff. And this is kind of why I do some of the things I do. I ask a lot of questions, because I'm not, in deconversion, you need to stop making decisions quickly when you first deconvert. You need to really don't make a lot of quick decisions, especially in your angry year. Because when you realize how much bullshit you've been fed, the first, it's like grief. The first is disbelief, okay? You can't believe that you were so stupid that you couldn't see it, okay? You really can't. The next is anger. You get angry. It's like grief, when somebody dies, when that faith in you dies, okay, because you realize that it's never really, it's bullshit, and it's based on lies, a lot of lies, then you get mad about it. And during that period of anger, it is really a bad idea to make major life decisions, okay? It really is. I never really got treatment for it as far as mental dealing with it. I was still in the pulpit and I was mad, okay, but I couldn't show it. You want to talk about repressing feelings? Holy shit, did I repress a lot of feelings. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm really, really good at being very stoic on the outside, okay? This is why I have to remind people that I do have feelings, okay? Because they'll say shit and it hurts my feelings, but I don't let them know that that's what happened. It's one of those things, like any women out there that want to get with a rabid atheist someday, understand that I don't necessarily wear my emotions and stuff on my sleeve. It doesn't mean I don't have them, and it doesn't mean that I won't get hurt by what you say, but I don't necessarily wear them on my sleeve. And because of that, I was pretty much able to get through that angry year without really letting people know I was angry. But I'd get done with a church service, okay, and I'd go home, okay, and I'd be angry. And mentally, I began to realize that this was a very dangerous position for me, that it was very much like grief. That's why I tell people that are grieving over a loved one, don't make any decisions about their stuff while you're still mad, okay, at them dying. Don't do that. Until you get to the point where you're past being angry and you're starting to readjust. That's the time to make decisions, okay? And the same is true for deconversion, okay? When I got past my angry year, I was able to make some more rational decisions. Okay, I'm going to finish up my school, okay? I'm going to get a job based on my new education, and then I'm going to resign the church. That was my initial plan. Now, I got fucked up because mentally I didn't deal with some of the aspects of deconversion that don't have anything to do with anger, which is the absolute fucking stress it is to be in a job where you have to pretend like you believe to keep your job. Okay, now a lot of other people have gone through this with like Christian companies or ministers, people that are part of various ministries, and they're sitting there and they're like, they're going, shit, I don't believe this thing. What do I do? But I depend on this to make a livelihood. And it's something that you have to work through. And so I tell people, when you're angry, don't just jump from one echo chamber to another. Don't just jump from one thing to another. Get over your anger first, and then process through the decisions. Because what you're going to find is you need to listen to all sides, okay? That's why I did my little exercise yesterday on abortion. Some people were kind of reacted like I had made a statement about what my position was. I want you to go back and watch that video. I never tell people what my position actually is. I just tell people I'm considering all positions, and that's the truth. I laid out the arguments in a way that got rid of all the theological nonsense and said, here, let's throw this in the trash, click. Okay, but what, if you do that, then what's left of the argument? And then does it hold any water? And I did ask the question, is there any middle ground? This is a good example of what I do with just about everything now. Because whenever I face a new situation or a new thing, before I used to run to my Bible or run to my fellow preachers or run to my theological statements or my thoughts and whatever and get some authority to tell me what to do and what to think and what to feel. I don't do that anymore. And in order to do that properly without just ending up in another echo chamber as bad or worse than my religious one, you have to ask a lot of questions, including questions that at first you think is shit. Part of me still wrestles with this because when you're in the faith so long, I mean, I'm envious sometimes of the kids that have found their way out of this shit right after they get out of high school, or they're young adults and they're like, yeah, this is bullshit, and they get out then, because they save themselves a lot of time. But there's a lot of guys like me, a lot of women like me too, that were in the faith for a long time, and then we come out and we're like, oh shit, what did I do with my life? And I'm starting to fix that a bit, but it took me 2-3 years to kind of get my feet under me, and it took another 2 or 3 years to finish up and put myself in a position to take the opportunities that I'm taking today. And that's mental. That's all this mental stuff that you have to reprocess and reprogram. And mental deconstruction, you have to deconstruct what you had before, but some of the building parts are still good. Some of the thoughts are still good, but you need to put different reasons behind them. You need to put different rationalities around them. And that takes a bit. That takes time. It's why I always say, whenever I talk about deconversion, be patient with yourself. You're not quite there yet. And I don't know if I'll ever be there, whatever the hell there is. But I've gotten to a better place where I realize that I'm not a dirty, good, rotten sinner. I'm just a man, okay? And I don't need to be saved. No. What I need to do is get up, assess where I am, and try to be better the next day. Try to be better today, better than I was yesterday. My only competition is me. And when I started to put on that way of thinking about things, yeah, that works now. It really does. Just being who I am has become a challenge, because you got to mentally find out, who am I mentally? How does me think? Not what I was programmed to think. How do I think on my own? And it's a hard process. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that. Maybe some of you can share some of your stories or ask some questions. I'm always happy to answer questions about deconversion the best I can. I don't claim to be a guru on this subject or an expert, but I've been through it, so I can kind of guide you on your way. But, once again, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everybody who comes here. Like, share, subscribe, share the video, with your friends that are deconverting, or even those that are not. And, hopefully I can convince you to be a rabid atheist such as myself. In the meantime, this is Rabyd, also known as the Rabid Atheist, signing off and wishing you a good day.